In today's video, we're going to be looking at a New Zealand man that had over $4 million of Bitcoin stolen from his home, never to get it back. There are some very important lessons that I'm going to tell you in this video that could mean the difference between you having your crypto and being in a situation like this yourself. So please watch this video. But before we get into it, please drop a like and subscribe. So in New Zealand, a wealthy businessman that ran a quarry company actually had his home invaded and had a safe taken out from his home, and he recorded a video for us to watch reviewing what actually happened. So let's check it out.
The front door where it was unlocked but not open. This is the safe door. Goes into the cupboard where the safe was. Electrical board here. Alarm controls in here. Safe from this point here down to there. Bolted. That was all boxed up. And they've ripped that off and used it as leverage by the looks. Taken the safe out. Only other room that they appear to have touched in the house, well, more than appear, because that's where the tools was found, was up these stairs. They've been up here and they've been ripped everything out of this wardrobe. There was a jewelry box here which they took stuff in. That was where we found the tools. Back down the stairs into where they had the safe. The safe was then obviously removed once they couldn't get into it. They used a wheelbarrow. They took it out this door here. It was left wide open. Took it out around the side of the house. There's no cameras around here. Out to the front. All the way down here. This is the outside of the entry point just here. This was pinned back so the gate opens, and they used a piece of firewood to get around it. And then out here, had a go at opening that, which was open, but there was another lockbox here. This was open and there was a shade cloth across it. Camera, so this part of the house is cameraed, as you can see up there on the right hand corner. It's got a camera, but they didn't go in that way, so that's sort of the gist of how they did it. Power box.
No, that is some tough stuff right there. A really situation to be in. According to him, he had a USB stick containing his crypto key, which had over $4 million of crypto on it, and apparently that was the only copy of that key. That right away is a big lapse in security, I think. If you don't have your crypto key memorized or seed phrase, you want to actually have more than one copy of your seed phrase. So you could have it on a USB stick, written down in an obfuscated way on a piece of paper somewhere else. That way, if you lose one of those sources, you still have access to the key. Now, I wouldn't recommend people simply write down in a notepad file what their crypto key is. As you can imagine, that is a big security risk. But what you can do is create pictures and drawings and little things that only you will interpret the meaning of to be that word. Maybe some memorable event in your life that correlates with a word, and you'll see that picture, you'll remember it, and to anybody else that has access to this file or series of pictures, they simply won't know what it means and it will be unintelligible to them. For example, if you're scared of black cats and a seed phrase word is fear, you could draw a black cat, you would associate that with fear, whereas an onlooker wouldn't have any idea what the association is. According to this guy on this USB stick, there were a bunch of family photos and other files on top of the crypto key that he had on the USB stick. If the robber doesn't know what cryptocurrency is, he might just completely overlook it and assume it's just a worthless USB stick to him. But the point being, if you're in a situation where you get a file like that stolen from you, you really don't want someone to have your seed phrase in plain text for them to take your crypto. Another thing is, like, the way this guy got attacked, it looks like it was an inside job from someone while his house was being renovated, maybe a dodgy tradesman or a friend of a friend that did it. Definitely looks like this was some inside job. Looking at his house, it does look like he lives in a good house, and it's quite obvious that this guy has money from the outside. When you're in a situation like that and it's obvious that you have money, you definitely want to be conscious of the fact that other people see you as having money. Now, if a home invader comes in and they're looking to steal and make a quick buck, the first thing they're going to look for is something like a safe. Like, that will be their go-to thing. And that is exactly what happened. In this case, the guy had about $10,000 of cash, and a Rolex, some jewelry, and $4 million of crypto on a USB stick. I honestly wouldn't recommend putting your crypto in a safe, or at least not a full amount. You know, going for the safe is the obvious thing a burglar will do. A home invader will go for the safe in a rich man's house. That's where they are going to assume that is where the most valuable stuff is at. And you can take advantage of this. You can take advantage of this assumption and actually create some bait in that safe. And I say put bait in the safe as opposed to nothing. Let's say you're in a literal gun to your head scenario and a guy is saying open up the safe, and you're being home invaded like that. Well, if you open up the safe and nothing's inside there, he's rightfully going to be more angry and will demand to see where your actual valuable stuff is. On the other hand, if you have bait in the safe, say if you have a few $1,000s of cash in there, maybe a bit of jewelry, a crypto key with a few $1,000 on the key, you know, that would be more than enough for most burglars to be satisfied with, and they'll move on. If the home invader knows about crypto and they see that, you know, you've got a few $1,000s of crypto which they've taken from you now, they are going to be satisfied with that most likely. And you keep the majority of your crypto on keys that are separate from that and hidden in less obvious places. And that is pretty important. If you're going down the compliance route during a home invasion, you really don't want to be arguing that you have no valuables and, you know, the safe is just empty for the hell of it. Like, that's a bad situation to be in. Whereas if you have a bit of bait in there, you know, they're probably going to take the bait and get out before the cops come, right? People rob convenience stores for like $20 from a cash register. If a burglar makes over $1,000, they're going to be satisfied. According to this guy, he hasn't got the safe back. I couldn't find any information about it being returned or whatnot, but he's actually offering $500K to someone to bring the safe back to him. You know, it's a terrible situation to be in. Like, this guy has lost over $4 million because there was a lapse in his security. You know, he had a crypto key on one device in that safe. You know, it's the obvious place a burglar would go to take the safe. And, you know, it's very unlikely that he's going to get that cryptocurrency back. By the sounds of the story, it doesn't sound like the burglar knows about cryptocurrency. He believes they were more going for the cash and the Rolex, and that's what they got. But at the same time, the victim still doesn't have access to the $4 million of crypto, and probably not the burglar either. And that's hardly a good situation to be in either. It'd be worse if the burglar took the $4 million of crypto and knew what cryptocurrency was and how to find the seed phrase, but the victim still lost $4 million. So guys, I hope you took something important away from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.